Tonight, we are all afraid. Tonight we're talking about Kenneth Branagh and his third outing as both director and performer as the famous Belgian detective Hercule Poirot, A Haunting in Venice, based on Agatha Christie's Hallowe'en Party. And Branagh and Poirot and his two earlier adaptations. I am your wicked game master, Connor Lloyd Crews, and I am joined, as usual, I can't say as always, by the Joey Chestnut of talking about movies, Mr. Edwin Gomez, in the middle of enjoying some delicious cake at the moment.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sad to report this cake is a little too hard.
Wow.
So can you not eat it? Are you giving up? You stuck in Twitter?
I'm still eating it.
You're not gonna say your thing?
Oh, hello America. You know, back at it again. Still uncensored. Can't be stopped. Can't be destroyed. You know, I'll tell you a story. I was supposed to see JFK today, but I didn't because I was committed to this. But it's okay. I didn't have to go all the way to Beverly Hills for it.
Hey, you know, life is full of ups and downs. Also joining us once again.
Oh God, me. Hi. Yeah, my name is Anne Mortensen-Agnew. I am a tabletop gamer. I don't know what to say on camera.
That's okay.
If I were being questioned by Hercule Poirot, I would probably get so nervous I would admit to crimes I didn't actually do.
And lastly, also rejoining.
Hey everyone, Secret Movie Club head projectionist Alex here.
Let's see. I fucked up the intro. I didn't have the confidence to go all the way with my bit where I was gonna go after I said all this stuff in the funny voice. I was gonna go and then transition that into me coughing, which would then transition into me doing a normal accent, but I lost.
So, Connor, right there, is that enough champagne to fill the Nile, or is that just a little bit of wine?
It's just a little bit of wine. It's just a rosé. It's only semi-sparkling, so I don't think it's a full champagne. I think doesn't champagne have to also be something else?
I mean, champagne has to be from a region in France, otherwise it's just sparkling whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, so I drink a lot of sparkling rosé, not as much champagne, because champagne's really expensive.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think this is just the French being the French again.
Cosmic Humor in the chat asks, is this the one where he fights the Hydra?
Yes, it is. Hi, that's my best friend.
Oh, nice. I also want to say this is something I'm starting now that everyone gave me shit for last week, but I want to do it, and I'm not doing it just to be a guy about it, but it's been 141 days since the strike started, and the AMPTP still sucks. So
they suck so much. I'm not going to say what I actually think because my own guild, the Animation Guild Local 836 or 839, I don't know, whatever, man. Yeah, it's great. Is going up for negotiations sooner than later. But they know what I think of them.
Yeah. But yeah, I always forget that I don't have to do that much in the intro. I'm used to the podcast where there was like intros would be like 15 minutes long. Let's get it going. A Haunting in Venice. So only me and Anne caught this one. So we'll have to be the only ones who talk about it. I should do the
Connor, I got this.
Oh,
all right.
Oh boy. Oh, guys, I don't know if you've experienced before. Edwin's gonna talk.
Connor, don't worry. Came prepared this time. Sadly, I don't have a DVD to represent it, but it's okay. I'm gonna read it. Actually, I'm gonna let it ride.
Wow.
Have this out.
You're the carrot top of owning DVDs.
Exactly. So Haunting in Venice. Never seen it, but I have seen The Haunting with Liam Neeson, Owen Wilson. What's her face?
Completely, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is married to Michael Douglas. And it's a great picture. Has a haunting in a house. The haunting in a house. It's amazing. It's great. It's got a great score for Jerry Goldsmith. Again, it's a haunting, and yeah.
That's the haunting.
Yeah, the haunting, as in they're being haunting.
What?
Just go for it, Connor.
Well, that's a remake of another really good movie. Edwin.
Yeah, who cares?
The original Haunting by Robert Wise with Russ Campbell.
And Spielberg rightfully produced The Haunting, so Spielberg.
Right, so A Haunting in Venice, I thought was pretty good.
Moving on. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I had a really good time, actually.
You know what's funny about this? I just realized is all of us have seen a different amount of these movies. Edwin has seen 0. Alex has seen 1, the first one. Anne has seen 2, the first and the most recent, and I've seen all 3. Do you want to give like a general summary? I think we should definitely be wary of spoilers for this one.
Yeah.
Just because that's like the whole thing.
The detective film. So in this one, it takes place after World War II, and therefore after the other film, Death on the Nile. Hercule Poirot has seemingly retired. He is very depressed. He's living out his time in a crumbling house in Venice. He's not taking any cases anymore. But then his old friend Tina Fey, who was playing Agatha Christie's self-insert Ariadne Oliver, shows up at his doorstep, and she's got a case for him because she has found this woman, Joyce Reynolds, who claims to be a medium.
Played by Michelle Yeoh.
Played by Michelle Yeoh, a bona fide spiritual medium. And Ariadne fully believes in her. And she wants Poirot to come with her to a Hallowe'en party at an allegedly haunted Venetian palazzo to debunk her, basically. But they find that the host of the palazzo has a bit of secrets of her own because her daughter died under mysterious circumstances last year. And Joyce Reynolds claims to be possessed by the girl, who says that she was murdered. And as more deaths come throughout the night, Hercule Poirot must come out of retirement to solve this spooky case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good summary. I definitely like it more than the first 2 for sure. It's on a high bar because I don't mind the first 2, but I don't like them that much. I'm very soft on movies because fundamentally there's usually only like the movies I dislike are always more like something like All Quiet on the Western Front from last year that I thought was just like a fucking miserable, pretentious slog, and I would much rather watch something that's like glossy and stupid, and which I think these kind of are, for sure. But I like that this one was shorter. I liked the spooky, which was nice. It was like 20 minutes shorter than the other 2. Nice spooky atmosphere. I like the bits of history that they apparently added in. I talked to my dad. I'll bring him up more as this goes on. They added in a lot of those because in the novel it's set in London, and so all the stuff about the kids and the haunting and all the supernatural stuff is completely made up for the movie apparently.
It's a very loose adaptation, it seems like.
What was that?
It seems like a kind of a looser adaptation.
Yeah, I think it's a much looser adaptation than the previous 2. They add in this. Hefner gave you a burger emoji, Edwin. That you're eating chicken.
What?
Because you're eating.
Yeah. Because I haven't eaten all day. I'm starving.
I haven't eaten too. This is my liquid supper. Just kidding. I'm not gonna send this to my parents. They're gonna be like, we like told you all this stuff for your thing you're doing. Can we see it? I'm like, nope.
No, it's true. We didn't have one, parents.
We didn't have one actually this time. No, I'm fine.
Internet away that we were gonna film. Actually, there just was no internet, so I couldn't.
There's this stuff in the movie about, and I don't know if it seemed so specific it has to be real. Like, it seems like a weird thing for them to have made up. Like, it seems like something that either Kenneth Branagh or the writer was just heard about and thought was cool, or not cool, but interesting. Was the stuff about during the plague, these buildings in Italy would have the kids, this building they're in used to be like a children's hospital essentially, and at a certain point during the plague, apparently this happened in the context of the movie. I don't know if it happened in real life. The doctors just abandoned the kids and just locked them in the downstairs because they were like, there's nothing we can do really, and abandoned them. And it seems like I should have done research into this now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'll do it while somebody else talks. But if that's a real thing, that's a really interesting bit of history that they incorporated. I think the cast, especially compared to the last one, the first movie is pretty star-studded. The last movie is Death on the Nile is questionable. Yeah. It's
cannibal, an anti-vaxxer, and Gal.
Wait, which one's the anti-vaxxer?
Letitia Wright.
Yeah, and Russell Brand now.
Yeah,
noted.
Keep on coming.
Was he in Death on the Nile?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Kenneth missed on that one.
It's weird when the person who's possibly killed people looks like the least shitty person in your movie.
At least he just killed him. The others are just oof.
Yeah. And then I think the one big thing that I remember, I talked to my parents and they did not notice this at all. They didn't like the new one as much, partially because they don't like horror stuff. And I thought this one looked way better because this one is actually shot there's some CGI for sure, but one, it's very dark, for most of the movie. But the real thing is that most of the movie is shot on an actual set. And I mean, Death on the Nile is shot on a set, but it's shot on a boat set where the set is two white beams and then a CGI background that looks like shit. And then this is a spooky house. And so, I'm sure the stuff outside was just lighting and rain machines hitting the windows essentially. And honestly, to be fair, that stuff is easier to make convincing, I think, in post-production. Lightning outside of a window than making a beautiful vista. Outside of
the first one was I think kind of the almost in between these two. There was definitely CGI to hell whenever they went outside, but for the most part it was it's a train set and they're on a train. It was not hard to watch, whereas even the trailers for Death on the Nile they were bad for my eyes. I didn't like looking at them.
Yeah. I will say I still sort of have the same hangups on this one that I have with the other two, which is that I like Branagh as a performer, but as a director, I don't really. I find him to be both flat and hokey, which feels like two things that you almost wouldn't be there, because hokey implies a exaggerated style, but it always comes off as very flat to me. In a movie I would like more, I would be more amused. I am kind of amused by how many shots in the new one are just a close up of Poirot going. There's at least 3 or 4 shots in the movie. They're just. It's fun in its way, but it's I don't know. He's missing a little bit of some sort of je ne sais quoi. Yeah, for my taste. I know, Anne, you have a love of Kenny. At least you have one love. At least I think he's more on your wavelength than mine.
I mean, for those who do not know this about me, Thor 2011, directed by Kenneth Branagh, is genuinely one of the most influential movies of my life. I love it very, 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 very much. It's in my top 4. It's number 4 on my Letterboxd. I love it more than it's good. If anybody needs to get up about that, all right, I fucking know. Okay, I rewatched it this year. I know. I love it. Shut up. Yeah, I think Kenneth is more on, I guess, my wavelength. Like, I like all of the Shakespeare adaptations I've seen of his. For even when he makes like I didn't see some of his more recent non-Poirot movies. Like I meant to see Belfast and then I forgot to because that's what I do.
Belfast was good.
Like, yeah, I thought it was good, and it's like I mean I'm Irish American, so like Irish stuff is I would love to watch that.
And I like that he sorry to interrupt, but he brought over the boy and father from that because that movie's like The Fabelmans is like a fictionalized autobiography essentially, and the kid who plays him and the dad Jamie Dornan are also a father and son in Haunting in Venice, which I know that's yeah.
I mean I think he has a great view for actors. He's really great at casting. I was an English major. I love Shakespeare. I love his Shakespearean stuff. I mean, wow, a controversial opinion, I know.
I need to see more of it, to be fair. More of that. It's
good. Nothing's worse than fine. I think he did As You Like It, and I think As You Like It was fine. Even his like stuff where Kenneth's gigantic raging ego gets in the way of like making a good movie. At least I'm mostly entertained when I watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Count myself as a fan. I guess the one thing I refuse to watch of his is his adaptation of Artemis Fowl.
I forgot he did that.
No, not engaging. No.
And
Kenneth
Rory
fucked it up. Disney fucked it up. Maybe you were the guy. I don't know.
No, I got this. Story. I'll say it in layman's terms. That movie's a piece of shit, and it should burn in hell for all an eternity. And fuck that movie and fuck Disney. Amen.
Yeah, all anyone needs to see of that is the GIF that you see online occasionally of like Josh Gad pulling his jaw open and then farting sand at someone. And then I feel like I've seen the movie now.
It's sad, Alex.
I was an Artemis Fowl kid, so just full disclaimer.
So was I love those books too.
They were so fucking good, and the moment in I was watching the trailer, like I don't think this is right, and then when Holly Short said like, "Oh, I'm Holly Short, I'm your agent on the inside," I was like, that's not no.
Well, stuff like that is where I will sometimes have the like very true, both comforting and troubling realization that nostalgia doesn't really work that much on me. That the stuff I liked as a kid that I like now, that maybe people would be like, oh, you just like it for nostalgia's sake. No, I'm just a giant child who still likes that stuff. Like the stuff, there's genuinely stuff like that I liked as a kid that I look back now, I'm like, whatever. And so that's one of those things that's like, it's sort of comforting, but it's also it's troubling. This is just me, baby. I just like garbage.
Oh, fuck.
I mean,
What?
Hi.
My friends at the Academy told me this is the best print they're showing, and I'm really sad now.
Damn.
Rip.
It's a 239 picture, Connor. It's a 239 picture. You know what that means? It's scope.
Would you watch Artemis Fowl if it were scope?
No.
So
I wouldn't have seen it.
Well, let's get back into the left to the topic.
Anyway. So I thought Haunting in Venice was I had a great time. Like, I think we were talking about this before I think the stream started, that I think as a movie it's probably a 3 or a 3.5 out of 5. I genuinely was having a great time watching it. I thought all the acting was really fun. Like the handful of times I was like, oh, you're going to use that take from Tina Fey? Okay. Yeah. It was still like, a fun kind of weird reading of a line. I think Branagh was really very, very charming and very lively in this role this time around. I thought the entire cast was just delightfully fun to watch. It's fun. It's always fun for me to see a skeptic have to disprove ghosts.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not they're able to do it, it's always just a fun plot for me.
And I did like some of this stuff, not to get too much into it, but there's like a device that a character uses that gets revealed, and I thought that was really cool. Like that's another thing where I'm like, that feels like a real piece of history that they must have snuck in here, because that feels so specific to be like made up, you know?
Yeah, that feel the thing that felt good. You know, I think you know, I am of the, I follow the rule that like a good detective story, like, you know, gives you all of the clues already, and then you know, then you have the great detective tell you how to put them all together effectively. So you're like, oh, of course, that's what it meant. And I've read some of the Poirot books, not all of them. I'm going through all of them, and I think that this film adaptation anyway is a pretty good example of that. Like, it gives you all of the information, like pretty, you know, well spaced, so you can draw the conclusion of like, oh, okay, here's how it happened. Here's who it did it. Here's how they did it, so on and so forth. I guess like her best, in my opinion, I'm one of those people who just really has a problem with the third Poirot book, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is really you love it or you hate it.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my dad about the books, and he also mentioned not liking that book.
The problem with that book is that it cheats. It's great. I called the murderer pretty quickly, but the book cheats, and I'm not going to go into how it cheats because that's a spoiler.
Cheats.
But
you sound like what is it, Annie Wilkes?
I mean, look, I'm not saying I would cut off Agatha Christie. I would like smack her around with an axe or whatever for writing that book, but I would want to sit her down and be like, cheating Agatha.
I think I know what the thing that book does. It has to do with like point of view, right? Sort of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of. I don't want to spoil it, I guess. I don't know if anybody in the chat cares for the you know, the twist ending of a 100-year-old novel. Anyway, point of all being then like Murder on the Orient Express is obviously like the best version of that. It's like Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express as well is like, it's good. It's good in part because you would have to really try to fuck up Murder on the Orient Express. Just if you just do it, then you're gonna have a good movie.
Well, let's before we get into that, because I think we might have some differing opinions. I wanted to talk about what my mom, my mom and my dad. So like fundamentally, at the end of the day, I also like these movies because, like, if boomers are going to go to the theater to see movies, I'd rather them going to see this than like weirdo Christian stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is like prime parents going to the movies material, in my opinion. And my mom just had a comment about the character. She said that Poirot in this one seemed vulnerable and that she felt sad for him. And
you know what, Mom too.
Yeah, but I would agree. He does seem very vulnerable in this one. My dad sent me a longer thing, and I'll break this up a little bit. But he said, I've read exactly 13 of Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot book. He gave some recommendations for future movies that we'll get to. He's also seen the 3 Kenneth Branagh movies. He liked this one the least. Probably because, and this is his words, I had read the book, which I got him for, most of these books that he's read, he has gotten for Father's Day or his birthday or Christmas over the last couple of years. Before seeing the movie I had read the book before. The fact that the movie divulged greatly from the book. I'm sure that I would have liked the movie a lot more if I had not first read the book. So my dad at least recognizes his bias.
Yeah. I reading up on the book, and there's like substantial changes. I think that's probably true. Like I'm gonna read the book and like it a lot more than the movie.
Yeah, the book seems to have the biggest thing. There's like certain secondary things like Ariadne being a major character. And then the biggest thing with the mystery, it seems to be, is that there's the whole structure of like a murder that took place way before. That's now
Connor,
new things are
Connor?
happening. What?
Connor, I'll be right back. I gotta drop something off outside. I'll be really quick. All right, I'll be right back.
Drop a shit.
Oh, I gotta give my buddy something.
Yeah, fucking shit.
Yeah, wait, wait.
But yeah, my dad continues. My favorite of the three movies was Death on the Nile because it almost exactly followed the book, which I had also read before seeing the movie. I do think Branagh does an adequate job as Poirot, although the picture in my mind of Poirot from reading the books is probably closer to Peter Ustinov, an actor who played him in like the 80s. Hopefully Branagh will continue to make additional Poirot movies, as I greatly enjoy seeing him on the big screen. Love you lots, Dad. So it was a very sweet.
Connor's dad, I love you too.
Let me switch over. Speaking of Death on the Nile, sorry, Dad, I took this online, a screenshot from Death on the Nile. It kind of looks like somebody pointed out online, looks a little bit like an FMV game.
Yeah, wow, it really does.
Which to be fair, if you were going for that aesthetic, hell yeah. I love that aesthetic.
Press A to accuse Army Hammer.
You've been very quiet, Alex, and very respectful, and I want to let the beast out of his cage, because you've only seen Murder on the Orient Express, and I know you don't have the most positive view.
No, yeah. I mean, I can't speak to Death on the Nile or Murder in Venice because I've not seen them. I've not seen them just because I detested Murder on the Orient Express so profoundly. Last night I watched it for the second time. The first time I watched it, full disclosure, did not make it to the end. I turned it off relatively early into the movie. So when I talk about the movie, or when I talk about this Branagh Poirot stuff, I am only talking about Murder on the Orient Express. But I mean, if you like, I have some notes that I took last night.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd love to hear them because because I would agree, having not read Murder on the Orient Express, the actual book, but knowing the story, because it's obviously like probably the most famous murder mystery of all time. I feel like possibly, or
yeah, maybe, and then there were none. But either way,
it's
it's
two kings against each other.
It's up there. It's like one of those quintessential things, and like every fucking Clue is influenced by Murder on the Orient Express. You know what I mean? And so like everything post Murder on the Orient, murder, yada yada, has been influenced by Murder, and I like from that point of view, having never seen really the story be played out fully as like an adult, I enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express from that position of like, oh, like this is a good story. Because I think what Anne was saying earlier about how like that story is so good that even a bad version of the story is still kind of interesting. But I would agree that the production that Branagh gives is very, glossy in a way I don't find super appealing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, earlier you mentioned that you would rather see like a glossy, like dumb movie like this than like a miserable movie like All Quiet on the Western Front, which I've not seen.
Yeah.
But I tend to feel like my tastes are a little like inverted of that like opinion or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I totally get that.
Yeah, but so naturally I didn't jive with this movie. But I had seen the original Sidney Lumet Murder on the Orient Express several times before I ever watched this Kenneth Branagh one, and I love the Lumet one. So like I knew everything. I knew the story. I knew the characters. I knew its deal. And I did not find the remake to really add anything. In fact, much of what's, I guess, maybe like what people find good about this remake is like it's almost like facsimile of the Lumet version.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go through what I got here. This movie opens just brutally like, I think the reason that I turned it off so early is just because of the bad taste that we are like have in our mouth at the beginning of the movie, because it starts off with this like really goofy sequence about how he needs his eggs cooked like perfectly, otherwise he won't eat them. And it's almost like slapsticky, and I also hate him now because he's like this guy who's like mean to his servants. So we get the egg joke, then we get a poop joke where he steps in like cow poop or something, and then he has to put his other foot in it, and then we get another joke about his eggs when he's like explaining some crime that we don't care about to the audience, just so that we can see Poirot is like brilliant or whatever. So this is all in 10 minutes. I checked the time, and there's like an hour and 50 minutes left, and all I long for is the sweet release of the end credits. But as we go on, the movie begins really, and I noticed that it seems to me that often Branagh doesn't necessarily understand the difference between Poirot and like Sherlock Holmes. It feels to me like he's doing Holmes more often than he's doing Poirot, because he's using a lot of like deductive reasoning in the movie, which is Holmes's thing, and it feels like I'm watching Holmes in like a Poirot costume. The green screen looks terrible. I think it gives the movie a like the vibe of like a child's film, like the Harry Potter movies. I know that they shot it on 70 millimeter, which is great. I'm all for that, but I don't see the point whatsoever of shooting the movie in 70 millimeter if all of it is just green screen.
I will say that would be one very big plus for the new one, is that there's I think zero green screen in the movie.
Yeah, maybe there's like a little bit when they have to get extra spoopy.
Yeah, there's like a couple of little moments here and there, but it's like very much so like an effect shot. It's not like people talking or whatever.
It's just
right. Yeah, and I mean that seems like probably a little more appropriate. They're dealing with like supernatural elements in that movie. This one, like I said, it just felt like it made it like gave it a juvenile feel to it. I wasn't a fan of most of the dialogue. yeah, I mean, exactly.
I would watch Kenneth Branagh's Shark Boy and Love.
Shot in 70 millimeter.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah, I didn't care for the dialogue in this movie pretty much across the board. There's a lot of really embarrassing stuff, and I think the most like emblematic of it is when Poirot says he has this speech that he's giving to everyone, and he says something like, there are two witnesses to this murder, God and me, Hercule Poirot, and he does this dramatic like close up on him, and it's supposed to be, I guess, this like, I don't know, riveting cheer moment, but like I can't roll my eyes any more than I already have been throughout the whole movie.
As an aside, I thought it was we had the complete opposite reaction when Connor and I saw it in Haunting in Venice when Poirot was like, do not worry, Hercule Poirot is on the case. Both you and I were literally like,
yeah. I mean, I just I'm a sucker. You know what I mean? Like I buy in. Like a movie has to really do something to kick me out, and to a certain degree, there's an irony there also. Like I'm buying in. I know these movies I'm kind of whatever on, and so like I was going in, and so I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, and I totally get that, because that's why I say it's like the difference between you and I is just you enjoy this stuff just kind of as a concept much more than I think I do.
Yeah.
I think the strength of the original movie is that it makes a small collective of characters talking to each other in a single location extremely gripping and exciting. But this movie felt the need to insert like brainless action sequences, like chasing someone around a bridge. And there's, I won't get into spoilers, but there's like a shooting and like chasing at the end. Yeah. And presumably this is to liven things up in case like they think their like dumb audience was getting bored from all the talking, which I never appreciate in any movie. I mean, I don't know. That's again, it's just me, but I really don't like being like patronized like that as an audience member. I felt. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I would say that I don't necessarily like being patronized too, as much as I just kind of like don't. It just doesn't bother me as much.
Well, sure. I guess allow me to rephrase.
Patronized. I'll continue because I'll let you continue because I remember having a reaction to like the shootout scene, but I've already interrupted you once, Alex, and I apologize.
No.
No,
please,
continue. That's specific to what we're talking about.
Well, it's, the action scene. I remember the shootout on Murder and the Branagh adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express. I've never seen the original movie. I just read the book, so I cannot compare it to what I genuinely have heard is a much better version. But yeah, like watching the shootout sequence after reading the book was very much like, oh, okay, this is an American movie.
Yeah,
I had almost forgot.
Well, so then, yeah, allows to rephrase. I found that scene patronizing rather than, oh yeah, I don't like being patronized. Yeah, no one does. I felt Poirot was longing for his lost love that he like pines for and looks at her photo throughout the movie. Didn't register to me as anything more than Branagh thinking that it would give the character just some kind of depth, despite the fact that it's the most like superficial cliche imaginable and is not relevant to the movie whatsoever.
I completely agree with that. Like, there's the detail in the books that Poirot is like always trying to set people up, and he just like loves love. And I don't remember if he has a tragic lost love. I feel like he doesn't. And like that he was just so hung up on dead Catherine. I also remember being kind of like, all right.
Yeah. In the second one,
this is Hercule Poirot, explicitly heterosexual. Cool. Love the dead girlfriend.
Yeah, he's super not gay.
Not at all.
In the second one, they explain the mustache. They give an origin to the mustache.
Right, they do. Oh. It's tied to the mustache origin is tied
which is
to
almost so. It is tied to the dead girlfriend. I forgot about that. I forgot about that part. Yeah. It's so stupid that it's almost like admirable. You know what I mean? Like it's
comes
like
back full circle.
Yeah, horseshoe theory.
Yeah.
But Alex, continue.
Oh, sorry. I only have a few more. For an ensemble cast of stars, there aren't really any above average performances, which, again, I mean, Connor, you were talking about how you admire Kenneth Branagh as an actor more than a director.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree, because I think that shows that, he didn't get like a great performance out of like
Willem Dafoe.
I don't expect one. Exactly. I was going to say, I don't expect like a great performance out of Daisy Ridley or like Josh Gad, but we've got Willem Dafoe, we've got Michelle Pfeiffer, Judi Dench, these people who have established themselves as very like,
or even
skillful.
Even in the second one, like even there's obviously the rogues gallery of public enemies in that movie, but there's like Annette Bening's in that movie, Emma Mackey, who seems like a really fun performer. She was just in Barbie and was on that show Sex Education, and so like and say what you will about his cannibalism, but sometimes I actually like Armie Hammer, and he's pretty wooden in Death on a Nile too. So
he was very, very good in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah,
that's my opinion on actual cannibal Armie Hammer.
Literal cannibal Armie Hammer.
Text criminal, literal cannibal.
Yeah, so I'm glad you agree with me on that, Alex. That I think that like I would almost be more. It would be cooler. I'd be more down if these continued if like Branagh produced them and got like more like journeyman directors who can make something a little like more straightforward and meaty than or even if he teamed up with someone who's like a more legit talent. Sorry, Branagh. Sorry, Ken.
I mean, the one problem with that is that Kenneth Branagh's ego will eclipse the sun someday. So he simply what he needs is a really good producer to be like, what if we do it this way? Maybe like shadow direct without him knowing it.
Because I don't think Branagh is capable of directing a great Poirot movie, but I like a great Poirot movie. But I do think Branagh is capable of having a great Poirot performance, but he needs somebody else, I think, directing him.
Yeah.
I think that's actually probably very true. And I think that observation you had earlier about him being more like Holmes than Poirot is pretty fair. Like Poirot's thing, but like versus like Holmes is the deductive reasoning, and Poirot's thing in the books that I've read is basically like he's the guy who notices the aggressively minute detail, like yes, reasoning and like logic and stuff, but he also is the guy who notices the aggressively minute details and picks up on like the relationships between people and like how they play into things that you, the reader, are like, oh, well, when you put it like that, yeah, absolutely, I totally see how this would have happened. And so that's a pretty big difference between those two detectives, and I think that's a pretty fair observation. I think Connor, I think he did a pretty good job picking up on like. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna rescind. I was gonna say I think he did a decent job of picking up on like, the emotional ties between characters better in A Haunting in Venice. But I actually think it is still more Holmesian deductive reasoning.
It's a little more. I mean, the clues. A Haunting in Venice is definitely a little less. There's not as much. It's been a while. I haven't seen Murder or Death since they were in theaters, to be honest. Sure. I saw them once in theaters, and I said, you know what? I'm good. And then I haven't watched them since. And so I don't remember. Is there stuff in Murder on Orient Express where he's doing the, like you have a thing on your shoe that is the thing that does the thing, because that's what I associate with Holmes.
Probably there's like, because there is the whole thing in the book where like the person who has the robe is like running back and forth and like whose door was locked and whose door wasn't locked, or where was the location of the trunk, so on and so forth, and like that's kind of a puzzle to figure out. But it's also like that literally the entire story of Murder on the Orient Express is based around emotions and like emotional ties and bonds and like rage and pain and grief. So yeah,
I thought this one was a little more, for sure. Like there's a lot of scenes like Haunting in Venice does one of my favorite bits. This is a semi-spoiler, so skip ahead like a minute. But this is for like middle of the movie. But they introduce the girl who died like a year before the prior death. She had a fiance. And he's introduced early in the movie as like a big time douchebag, and like asshole and like obvious like red herring. And then the major scene he has with Poirot where they're doing it, they instantly like you hear what his actual relationship was outside of this like conflict, and you hear it more directly from him talking to Poirot, and you instantly become like way more sympathetic. And that's like one of my favorite tropes personally in media, is when someone who's like a huge douchebag early on ends up being like actually one of the more chill people as it goes on.
Like that, with hearing that character's interrogation, I was like, yeah. No, I think you did.
Yeah, you know what? Earlier I thought you were an asshole, but I actually agree with everything you're saying now. And I thought the movie had a little more of that, or there wasn't as many like the stuff about the seance was a little more based around him finding out details and whatever, but the actual murder was, I thought, much more based around him realizing like, oh, well, this character, there's no reason for them to like kill them. Like, this is the only character that it makes sense to, which feels much more based around like personal relationships and stuff.
Right. I only had a couple more things to say about Orient Express. I'll be brief. I know I've kind of rambled on.
No, you're good.
But we've also interrupted you a lot.
No, yeah, please. I love fostering the discussion. Has had his voiceover at the end verbalizes what we, the audience, are presumably supposed to be feeling in that moment, which again is very patronizing.
I don't remember it. Can you sum it up?
Sure. Yeah, it's like after, without spoiling anything, it's like after everything has been resolved, there's this like kind of bittersweet feeling, because it's kind of a resolution but also kind of not, and there's this tracking shot through the car of all the characters, and it would be great if it was just like a tracking shot with no dialogue, but as it moves through the car and we see all the characters, we have Poirot's dialogue explaining like, oh, sometimes there's good and there's bad, and sometimes there's an in-between, and I felt blah 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 blah, but it turns out I actually learned something today. And obviously I'm paraphrasing, but it's like to that effect.
Yeah. Sometimes it says good and bad. I learned something today.
How does a professional like filmmaker do something like that? I mean, maybe it's a studio note, they needed it, but it's just like it worked so hard to undo like the one maybe strong moment this movie had attained.
Yeah,
it's funny that like that movie, because I remember it does end on like that monologue and like a tracking shot, and as then Poirot's like, oh, perhaps I shall go to Egypt. That like one of the funnier things, like it would not work as a movie at all, but like one of the funnier things I thought about the Murder on the Orient Express book that like actually I found very very jarring when I read it for the first time was that Poirot solves the case, and then the book's just over. He's just like, oh, because the whole thing, Murder of the Orient Express, is like, he's like, well, this thing could have happened, or this other thing that actually happened could have happened. Like, like all the other characters are like, oh fuck, he figured out the thing, and then Poirot was like, but I think the first thing probably happened actually, and then the book's over. Like it just ends with him being like, nah, who can say?
Who can say?
Which doesn't work for a movie. You can't just cut to black after Poirot's like, I guess we'll never really know.
Hey, American Werewolf in London did it. The movie just cuts to black immediately after the climax.
Yeah, true. That movie does rip too. So.
Yeah.
The very last note I had is actually regarding the ending. The setup for a sequel is so dumb and symptomatic of the age of franchise hell that we live in.
Yeah.
But I am happy that you enjoy. It sounds like the sequels are better.
Well, yeah. I would not say Death on the Nile is not better. Okay. But A Haunting in Venice is like none of the three movies will be anywhere close to being my favorite of the year. You know what I mean?
Right.
But whereas the first two were kind of just barely avoiding being at the bottom of the year, this new one's more towards the middle for sure. Like, it's a movie I enjoyed watching it. It was a lot leaner, than the other two, and so it's definitely like a much. I would give it like the other two movies. I would not really like coming out of the other two movies. I thought, like, if I was going to recommend everyone, I'd be like, the books sound interesting. Like, I would recommend the books. This new one, I would actually like recommend. Especially if you're someone who's like looking for something. Especially if you're. Like, this is my perfect recommendation. I don't know how Megan is, Alex's wife, but if she's not as into like really scary stuff, but she's into like kind of spooky stuff, this is like a great like Halloween time movie for people who aren't fully into horror movies but want something fun that kind of evokes that spirit of like spookiness and stuff.
I think it's a good easing your way into Halloween's. Like, it's not scary, but it's spooky.
It's like spooky season adjacent.
Spooky season. It's your pre-gaming for spooky.
They definitely released it at this time of year on purpose, like specifically because it's like the perfect time of year to release it.
This for me, this movie, and like so did Murder on the Orient Express, though maybe a little bit less so. This movie falls into like the generally non-derogatory category of it's Sunday at 4 and you got some time to kill. Go see a movie.
I mean, my general opinion on all of these is like, you know what, Kenneth, if you want to keep making these, I go ahead and do it. Like, my parents love them, so like, God bless you.
Yeah, the collective, your mom and dad really like these movies.
Yeah. I have a couple other little things. Casey, who was going to be on here and couldn't make it at the last minute, wanted me to let you know that he thought he thinks Kenneth Branagh is adorable. And then I asked him, I clarified, is it a broad assertion or specific to these movies? And then he said, which I haven't clarified, he said 100% in general, I was blown away by the pookiness of Niels Bohr in Oppenheimer, presumably. I don't know.
Good in Oppenheimer.
I don't know what pookiness means, but...
Oh, because he's a little pooky. He's pooky.
I thought maybe he was talking about Poochie.
No, he's not. Pookiness. My friend Megan made this joke, and it applies to me as well, that like the thing that J. Robert Oppenheimer and I have in common is that we were shepherded into unforeseeable mania thanks to Kenneth Branagh.
And then I have 5 books my dad recommends. Kenneth, if you're watching, sorry for insulting you earlier. I really am. But my father, Stephen Logan Crews, would like you. These are the 5 books that he's read that he think would make really good adaptations. He's saying The ABC Murders, Murder on the Links, 5 Little Pigs, After the Funeral, and Evil Under the Sun. Which the only of those I really know about is ABC Murders, which does sound like a cool that's definitely like a book that like I know like what happens in that one, even though I haven't read it because my dad's talked to me about it. And that's like a book that I'm like, oh, this has definitely influenced a lot of stuff that people don't know about because of the conception of that crime in that book. No spoilers.
I feel like Kenneth Branagh would almost like, you know, David Suchet already did this, so he can't do it basically. But like just doing the every Poirot book for like with a BBC miniseries, like a star-studded cast that you still get Tina Fey, you still get whatever you want because yeah, she'll fly out to fucking Venice or London or wherever you want to film it. Like you still get still pay people.
Living off 30 Rock royalties.
Like, yeah, I mean, hey man, I gave her those 30 Rock royalties pretty regularly. But like you know, just so like he's able to keep doing them, just like do one per episode or a two-parter. I think that would probably be like an ideal way for doing all of these books, just like that. But again, David Suchet already did those, and he's great. So Branagh can't, and I think that would probably rein in a lot of like the unfortunate Branagh-isms that don't really work in cinematic form.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one other thing to say before we move on to my Wicked Games. So Edwin, if you're there and listening to us, you got to get ready. Even though this one we'll see how much conversation this engenders. Oh, he's here. Anne, I know Anne, you'll disagree with this, but I think the modern whodunit, if you're gonna watch a modern whodunit series, it's got to be Rian Johnson's Benoit Blanc movies. I know you're not a fan, but I think those have so much more passion and, again, je ne sais quoi to them than...
I mean, I don't think that's incorrect. I think they do have a lot of passion and a lot of je ne sais quoi to them.
But you don't like Rian Johnson.
Anything bad about Rian Johnson online, someone's going to come to my house and kill me with a rock, so...
Yeah. To be fair, a lot of people were trying to kill him with a rock for a very long time, so it's kind of a back and forth.
Not my circles.
Yeah, but yeah, no, you can express your opinions about Ryan. This is a safe space for whatever, you know. If anyone wants to, what?
Fuck Rian Johnson.
You like Last Jedi? What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I did. Sure did.
Edwin,
I hate Looper. I think Looper is terrible, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Looper sucks.
Yeah, Looper's a piece of shit. Terrible time travel movie. You know, it was a great time travel movie. Tenet. Facts.
Well, see, and you're see, I'm the one outnumbered here tonight.
I didn't see Tenet. I have no opinion on Tenet.
No, I meant about the Rian Johnson thing.
It's a masterpiece. It's a glorious motion picture epic shot on 65mm film. Masterpiece.
I do love Tenet, to be fair. I like Tenet a lot too.
Tenet's amazing.
And I like Tenet more than Looper. I just also like Knives Out and Glass Onion more than any of the Kenneth Branagh Hercule Poirot movies.
I mean, I think that's yeah, okay. The longer we stay on Rian Johnson, the more I have to keep the whole day.
We'll move on. Let's.
I think they should put him in jail forever on an island like Napoleon. I think they should do that, and they should put snakes in the prison, and he'll have to run from them. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Wicked Games.
It's an over exaggeration, I think.
No, it's not. Not for me.
I'm gonna hate you, Wicked Games. Oh my god, it's not.
Welcome to Connor's Wicked Games. Every week I like to play, like Jigsaw, I like to play a little game. Sponsored by Chris Isaac. This week, Edwin, are you logging off because you're not participating?
No, I was looking at messages.
Okay. You've heard of a whodunit. This week we've got Who Played Him? I have 9 other famous versions of Hercule Poirot. I'll tell you details about the movies, movies or shows that they were in, and you have to tell me the actor name. This week, it's just going to be pretty normal point scoring. If you get it right, you get 1 point. But I will say on a strategy level, if you don't want to help the others, don't blurt it out, because then people will be like, oh, well, what they said, that's just a little strategic level. So we'll start with maybe the easiest. The 1974 Murder on the Orient Express, directed by Sidney Lumet. Does anybody have any answers?
Oh,
what was the question,
Poirot?
Alex?
The actor who played Hercule Poirot.
Should I say?
Yeah. You've seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie.
Albert Finney.
Anne?
Oh, also Albert Finney.
Okay, yeah.
Can
Edwin?
I do that? I'm copying off of Alex.
You can technically do that, yes.
Who is Albert Finney for 20 points, Alex?
Did you actually know that one, Edwin?
Yes.
Okay. We'll have different people. You know what we'll do is I'll go around and have different people answer.
Actually, let me check my DVD.
Answer in a different order.
Okay.
Oh, you got the DVD of Murder on the Orient Express?
Yeah, I got DVD. Albert Finney, Alex.
Yeah,
20 points.
yeah, it was Albert Finney. So here's what we'll do to keep this fair. We'll go around, and Anne, you'll have to answer for Anne, then Edwin, then Alex next time. This next actor played Poirot 6 times in 3 theatrical films and 3 television films: Death on the Nile, Evil Under the Sun, Appointment with Death, 13 at Dinner, Dead Man's Folly, and Murder in 3 Acts. From the late 70s through Murder in 3 Acts was in 1986. And do you have a guess, or would you like more information potentially?
You give me more information about this actor, please.
I will give you. I'm going to click on the Wikipedia and see if any of these Wikipedia articles have information about how the actor played Poirot.
Oh God.
Let's see. I remember there was a pretty good story about them actually on like another page, so I might have to. Okay, I think I have to go. About this actor's portrayal, Christie's daughter Rosalind Hicks observed blank during rehearsal and said, "That's not Poirot. He isn't like that at all." And blank overheard and remarked, "He is now."
I love that from that actor.
King.
That's great.
You have to pass. Or do you have
I have no. I'm gonna make a guess, but I'm gonna be totally wrong.
I'll give you one more hint. I mentioned his name earlier in the show.
I have already forgotten it. Vincent Price.
Edwin, do you got a guess for this Poirot actor?
Let me look at my DVD. Who is John Gielgud for 20 points, Alex?
And then Alex, do you have a guess?
Yes. Peter Ustinov.
It is Peter Ustinov. Congrats, Alex. Yeah, probably the one of 2 people most associated with it. This next one has also been mentioned. Edwin, you have to go first. Who played Poirot and Agatha Christie's Poirot, the BBC drama from 1989 to the early 2010s, and in an adaptation that I was going to mention this earlier. I've been doing research for this in this game. I was like, this looks really good. Like I want to watch this. This looks great. They did 70 episodes of this show and adapted every single Poirot novel and short story with this actor. Edwin, do you have any guesses?
Who is yeah. I'm gonna look at my DVD again.
You'll go last, Anne. I know you know the answer because you were the one who mentioned it earlier.
Who is Michael York for 30 points, Alex?
And Alex, your answer?
I mean, I only know one other person, one other actor who's played Poirot, but I don't think this was him, so I'll save that. I'll just take a shot in the dark, I guess. I'm going to be wrong. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Anne, you want to tell them who it was?
Suchet, who also reads a lot of the audiobooks.
David Suchet.
Who the hell is David Suchet?
He's an actor who played Poirot for 25 years. They adapted every single Poirot story existed, and the last one they did was Curtain, the final Poirot story where he dies, I think.
Did you know that Agatha Christie wrote Curtain during the Blitz?
Yeah, well, my understanding is Christie wrote that really early because she was like, I want there to be an ending to this character in case something happens.
Yeah, like it was during the Blitz, like she was like, actively being bombed. It's like, and yeah, exactly. Like if I die, I want there to be an ending. So here's the ending. And the ending, and I think she didn't change Curtain at all over the next X decades.
She didn't. Apparently there are continuity errors because of that.
Yes, she did. Yeah. Just like, you can change a couple lines, Agatha. It's fine.
Oh, I think she was dealing with like some deadly diseases at that point.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Alex will answer this one first. This is Murder on the Orient Express from 2001, a made-for-television film directed by Carl Schenkel.
I'll harbor the guess that the only other actor I know who has played Poirot, John Malkovich.
Anne?
Oh, also John Malkovich.
Edwin, do you know about the 2001 Murder on the Orient Express made for television movie? And which, I'll say this is an actor that everyone will recognize.
Who is John Malkovich with 30 points, Alex?
You're all wrong. It's Alfred Molina.
Oh.
He played him in a 2001 made for television movie. All right, Anne, this one starts with you. The ABC Murders. This is a TV series for BBC, directed by Alex Gabisi. I will say this: it also starred Rupert Grint, also known as Ron from the Harry Potter movies. Anne, who played this Poirot?
Give me a hint, please.
This version, my understanding is this version was set in modern day.
Oh, okay.
And I'll say this: I know that this version, the character did not have the traditional Poirot mustache, but had more of like a goatee.
Well, what's the fucking point of doing it then? I don't know. Somebody would have to sign off on something stupid like that. Fuck.
And I'll give one more hint. He's the only other person we've mentioned so far.
Armie Hammer?
Edwin?
What? What was the question? I zoned out.
Don't worry about it, Edwin. It's okay.
The ABC Murders, the BBC series from 2016, 2018.
Who is Michael Sheen with 40 points, Alex?
And Alex?
I'll rehash my Malkovich guess.
Alex, second time's the charm. This one was, in fact, Mr. John Malkovich. This next one, I couldn't even find a Wikipedia article for this adaptation, but there's a TV movie, Murder by the Book, from 1987. The tagline at the top of I don't know what the fuck this is, to be honest, but the tagline at the top says, Poirot has been murdered. Did Dame Agatha Christie do it? And I think it's more of like a meta thing where Dame Agatha Christie's agent proposes that it's time for her to publish manuscript she wrote 35 years ago, a novel in which she finally kills off her most famous creation. But there is an actor, a famous actor, an actor we will all recognize, who played Poirot in this movie, and I believe it is Edwin who has the first guess.
What was the question again?
Who played him? Just name any actor.
But what was the question?
Don't worry about it.
Murder by the Book.
Poirot?
Who played Hercule Poirot in this Murder by the Book TV movie from 1987?
Daniel Day-Lewis. There.
Alex?
With Michael Caine.
Pretty good. I would. That's not a bad guess as far as guesses go. Trying to think of other British actors.
Yeah, I will say the rest of these are probably going to be hard to guess.
I refuse to play these games, Alex.
You're playing them now, so apparently you don't refuse.
Christopher Lee.
Unfortunately, you're all wrong. It was Bilbo Baggins himself, Ian Holm.
That's a good Poirot. Christopher Lee would have been cool too.
That would have been cool.
These games are rigged. These games are lies. These are CIA lies. I don't like these games. These games are hurtful. I want to watch my movies. What I have.
Well, you are perfectly able to do that.
Alex, this one's you. If any of you pull any of these out, I'll be very surprised. No offense to anybody here. I've never heard of any of these. This actor played the character 3 times, twice in 1931 in Alibi, which was an adaptation of the ABC murders, and Black Coffee, an adaptation of Black Coffee, and Lorge Edgware Dies, adaptation of the same novel in 1934.
Shit. Was Laurence Olivier old enough? That's what I'm gonna guess.
Laurence Olivier, Alex, or Anne?
Peter O'Toole.
Edwin.
Peter Sellers for 20 points, Alex.
Wrong time period. Anyways, it was Austin.
1930s. What the fuck? Charles Lawton. Sorry.
A man named Austin Trevor. Charles, you know what, Anne? I'm going to give you half a point because Charles Lawton literally did play him in a different adaptation.
Did I pre-guess it?
And you guessing that? You didn't pre-guess it. It was a radio adaptation, so I didn't include it here. But he played him on a radio adaptation. I remember that in the back of my head. All right, Anne, you get this one. We got 2 more. This actor played Hercule Poirot in the 1965 Alphabet Murders, directed by Frank Tashlin, which my understanding is a more comedic sort of like the 60s Casino Royale adaptation of Poirot.
I'm gonna steal it from Edwin. I can't believe I'm saying it. Peter Sellers.
Edwin?
Orson Welles, Alex.
Alex?
Peter Cushing.
Tony Randall.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, he was one of the Odd Couple guys. The guys from the Odd Couple. And then lastly, Edwin, you get this one. Who played Hercule Poirot in the 1997 movie Spice World, directed by Bob Spears?
I've never seen Spice World, Alex. So I can't answer that question, Alex. Oh, wait. Roger Moore. Alex for 20 points.
Alex, do you have a guess?
Mike Myers.
Anne?
I'm going to guess Meatloaf in character doing a bit.
It was Hugh Laurie.
That's good. It's good casting, actually.
Playing Poirot, and I think I haven't seen Spice World either, but he was listed.
Yeah, me neither.
So, Edwin, you take another bronze. Anne, you get a second silver, and Alex, you've earned today your first gold. So congratulations.
Well, I deserved it.
Definitely, 100%. But yeah, let's let me change this background. Thanks for playing entering my twisted mind. It's time now for Edwin's cool stuff, where Edwin has been told to pull out some like Branagh, because he has lots of posters. He could have pulled out like a cool Kenneth Branagh poster or anything, and he could show us off some stuff.
I'm sad to report I don't have any Kenneth Branagh posters, but I have his out-of-print DVD of Dead Again.
That's kind of cool. How much was that?
Yeah.
$4.99.
Wow. So even though it's out of print, it's not even that expensive.
He was talking like, how many times can you die for love?
Is that a good movie?
It actually is. It really is. Kenneth Branagh and why did he cover her name?
Did he direct that, or did he just star in that?
No, he directed. This is his first U.S. movie that's set in Los Angeles. He surprisingly enough, he plays a private detective.
Nice.
So the concept is Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson had past lives in the 1940s, and he was a brilliant composer, and then he was sent to jail because everyone thought he killed his wife. Years later, it goes back to the 90s, and it's them in different reincarnated as these two different people. It's a wild movie. It's almost like a build up to Haunting in Venice, sort of. But yeah, it's a really good film. It's a really good film.
Sounds a little like Love on a Leash.
Kind of. It's a good LA thriller. It's got Robin Williams in it, who has like 4 scenes, which is great. He plays a out of bound therapist that works in a convenience store, and yeah, it's actually I might put this on. Actually, let me see if it's streaming anywhere. No, actually, I'll wait. I'll put on the DVD.
Well, you have the DVD.
I do have the DVD.
All right. You have anything else to show us?
Do I have True Colors. The James Spader, John Cusack train, sharp and fascinating full start of genetic characters, says Gene Siskel at Siskel and Ebert at the movies. The DVD's not in here, which I have to find and put back in. We got The River, of Mel Gibson. It will bring them together. It will tear them apart, and it cuts off right there because the sticker is covering half of the tagline, but it's a good picture. It's you
got to get some Goo Gone and get rid of those stickers.
I like to keep my stickers on my DVDs.
Yeah.
We got Rope, which is a piece of shit. I don't care for that.
That's such a great movie, Edwin.
Yeah. That's why I threw it in the ground.
I'll take it.
I'm keeping it, Connor. Keeping it. We got Robert Englund, The Phantom of the Opera. I pay $2.99 for this thing. The final curtain is about to drop.
Where do you get your cheap DVDs, Edwin?
What?
Where do you get your DVDs?
Amoeba. Always go to Amoeba.
So yeah, put quotes around cheap.
Yeah, cheap. There we go. Renegades, buddy cop thriller. Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Dab Phillips. They trusted no one until they had to trust each other. One's a white cop and the other's a Native American. So yeah, is
this a new haul of movies that you've gotten, or is this? Are you just pulling?
These are just on my bed. I pulled out because I was bored.
Okay.
I wanted to go through them. I got bored. I got Squirm. Squirm.
All right. Well, we're gonna end the segment there with Squirm.
Still have more to go, man. I got a stack left of DVDs.
Yeah, anything else we can plug, shout out anything? I wanted to shout out a very genuine shout out. I just finished reading Tom King's The Human Target series, which ended like earlier in the year, and it's a comic book. I loved it. Like, it would be my strongest recommend for a comic book since Hickman's House of X, Powers of 10 from like 5 or so years ago. What was that, Anne?
Hoxpox.
Yeah, Hoxpox, which I loved. I loved that initial. I didn't really like it as it went on, but that initial miniseries, Hoxpox, is incredible. And Human Target is maybe even better. It's this Tom King. It's this DC Universe set. It's kind of like a neon noir. The style is really like kind of vibrant and really interesting. It's about this guy, the Human Target, a character I didn't really know a whole lot about before reading it, but Christopher Chance is this guy who basically gets killed, quote unquote, for you for a price. You know, like if you're someone who's going to get assassinated, he'll take the bullet for you. And that's what he does at the beginning of this comic, is he takes a bullet while wearing a bulletproof vest for Lex Luthor, and then while celebrating afterwards with Lex Luthor, he drinks a bunch of poison that's going to kill him in 12 days. That was obviously also intended for Lex, and it ends up being connected to the Justice League International, which is a kind of JLB team, including, you know, a lot of great DC characters like Guy Gardner and Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold, Fire and Ice, who becomes like a main character, kind of the love interest for Christopher Chance as he sort of tries to figure out what's going on. And it's just really great. It's really, really, really good, and I would highly, highly recommend it. My highest recommendation for a comic book.
If I can jump in, then on that note, I would love to recommend 2 comics. One more recent. It's called Public Domain. It's an indie book made by Chip Zdarsky and edited by one of my genuinely dearest friends, Alison O'Toole, whom I met on Tumblr, where we bonded over, tying it all together, Kenneth Branagh's Thor.
Nice. Public Domain's great. I love
Public
that
Domain
book.
fucking rocks. Public Domain is basically a it's a comic book about comic books about this Jack Kirby-esque figure who was like the real the real secret kind of true creator of effectively the Batman of that universe, the most popular superhero of all time. While his co-creator, the Stanley type, rakes in like the fame and the fortune, he lives still in his like the house he lived in for 30 years and doesn't make very much money, so on and so forth. And through a crazy twist of legal circumstances, it turns out that he does legally own the character and is able to make new comics of him, which is what he's always wanted and what one of his sons hates. So it's like this family drama. It's insanely funny. Like Chip Zdarsky's just so goddamn weird. I love
the sons are really kind of the main characters, I would say.
Yeah, the sons are the main characters.
Because it's also just about like living in the legacy of like having this father who created, like the Batman or the Spider-Man of this universe, and like never really got paid, like never got the kudos that they should have gotten for it, considering the modern climate, and just like how you feel about like one of the kids kind of hates the dad because of how like he kind of thinks the dad has been kind of a wimp when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, and the other son is more in tune with the dad in it. Like it's about like your love of in some ways it's about your love of commerce against your love of just art, because all the dad wants to do is just make comics again because he loves it so much. It's really beautiful. And in addition to that, also going off of comics and DC Comics, it's not as new, but my friend got it for me for Christmas a couple years ago. Matt Fraction's miniseries of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. If you have not read this, you have to fucking read it. It is. It's Jimmy Olsen unravels an insane, multi-layered, diabolical conspiracy that might not even exist as he slowly goes insane. And like, this is like you read the trade paperback of it. I cannot imagine reading this in issues as it was coming out, because it pays off things that I just thought were just one-off jokes. Like it is a Swiss watch of Jim Henson-esque chaos and comedy.
It's really funny though too, like even on an individual level.
Is so funny. It's like genuinely hilarious.
Like there's one issue that begins with like an interview with a guy who works in Gotham, and his whole job is making giant props for villains.
The bit where Jimmy becomes like like a Logan Paul type, and he like tries to like get gets a whole like a Joker gang to like dance in front of Arkham or something to piss off Batman, and then gets the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah, it's a great series.
No, son, you sure have made some content there.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex, Edwin, you guys have anything to shout out?
Yeah, I'll plug something of my own.
Ooh.
I have a really awesome samurai screenplay. If anyone is in the market for a Sengoku era set samurai script, I've got one called The Tempest Sword that's really great. I won't divulge too much information about it, obviously, on stream, but yeah,
I've heard
I'll
good things.
That.
I've heard other people talk about it. So yeah. Edwin, you got that Tums against your head? You look out of it. I don't think you would have survived JFK tonight.
It's not Snuggles.
You're snuggling with Snuggle?
Yeah, I want to do my laundry, but I wish I could have made it to JFK.
You have any movies or anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, Stop Making Sense. See it in a theater near you.
That's true.
Nice.
When is that?
Saw all the bands together. Saw them talking to PTA. It was.
Yeah, you saw them at the Arrow last night, right?
I did. I sat up front.
Yeah,
normally something I don't do that.
Theaters for a limited time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. But I'm
gonna get up my AMC app.
I might see him at the TCL, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I want to thank. I forgot to do this earlier. I want to thank Marina Sakamoto. I was confusing her last name and the name of her band, Marina Sakamoto, and her band Shunkin for Curse off of their EP She Nods. Thank you for using it, for letting us use that for our intro. I want to thank Brian Robert for composing our outro. I want to say please follow us. We're at Cinema Curse 666 on TikTok and Instagram. We're posting little clips on YouTube. I'm posting these on Connor's old stream warehouse. Direct from my Twitch. Please give those likes. Some bozo, I'm gonna call you out. Some bozo's been leaving like a single dislike on some of my videos recently, and they aren't even saying why. Stop being a coward. Put in the comments what you don't like. I'll improve it, or I'll block you. Share this with some friends if you like it. And next week we're finally doing it, the Haunted Mansion special, as Haunted Mansion fever continues to sweep across the country. Just know if you've been exposed to it, you should self-isolate for up to 2 weeks from the other members of your household. Just kidding. Next week, per Edwin's request, next week is Into the Canon verse. We're talking about canon, and specifically the Delta Force and Salsa, the motion picture.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a requirement for people to watch those two movies, so watch them.
Yeah.
I will be watching these pictures, so if you don't watch these pictures, I'm coming for you.
Nice.
About to get hot.
The Domination, does that count?
It's not Delta Force or Salsa, but it's okay.
Well, yeah.
Salsa's fine.
Delta Force isn't Ninja 3 The Domination, so really who's coming out?
But Delta Force got the Norris. It's got the Norris.
Okay, well, does it have like Ghost Ninjas?
No.
Okay, well, who fucking cares?
It has guns and shooting bad guys and blowing shit up.
Well, guns. With the samurai swords, though.
Were you a Second Amendment guy?
No, man. I'm the canon man.
Where were you on January 6th, Edwin?
Edwin, where were you on January 6th? Exactly.
Yeah.
You were you're the Q shaman. Edwin is Q.
It would make sense.
Man,
it would make
I was
sense.
at home. There's witnesses. I was probably smoking a doobie.
With your boys at the Capitol.
I'm just saying.
Could have been, who knows, a man of mystery if I've ever seen one myself.
An enigma.
That's right.
An enigma, yeah. The enigmatic Edwin Caesar Gomez. Well, yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'm gonna start this outro. And goodbye, citizens.
Thanks everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.